another episode. My name is Amy Lloyd from Ascension Wellness, and I am here today with my friend and colleague, Shanon Dawn.
Hi, everyone. I'm a relationship coach. How are you guys doing? Today, Amy and I are going to be talking about why we feel alone.
And what can we do about it?
Exactly.
That's always the hard part. So, Shanon, a couple of thoughts that really come to mind for me as a trauma recovery coach are first, dissociation, and then second, brain development as it's impacted by trauma. So with dissociation, we are literally not in our body. I tell people I spent most of my life as a floating head and just over intellectualize everything and not really able to feel the full range of my emotions. But I felt emotion, so I didn't know I wasn't feeling all of them. I also had high pain tolerance. And so a lot of times people think they're so tough because they can take so much pain, but it's because they are not in their body where they would actually feel that pain.
As a child who's being traumatized, right?
And then
that's where it started.
Then on into adulthood. Exactly.
Exactly.
And so when we are not fully in our body, not fully feeling the range and depth of our emotions, first of all, we're not connected with ourselves fully. And when we're not connected with ourselves, when we don't have an authentic and healthy relationship with ourselves, we are literally incapable of then having a deep, emotional, loving, healthy connection with another person.
Yeah. And that's when we try to numb out by shopping too much, gambling, drinking, drugs. It could be having a ton of partners. It doesn't matter. It's always feeling like there's something that we need to do to blind ourselves from what's really happening deep inside, because we don't accept it, right? We don't know that we don't accept it sometimes. So until we become, usually what happens is the habit that we use to mask it becomes so overwhelming. Like you lose a house because you go into debt from gambling, or your drugs take over you almost lose your life. Like something really dramatic has to happen for some of us to really wake up and realize that this is what I've been doing. Oh my gosh. And I didn't realize, why or how, and all, sometimes it's just a slippery slope. So if you're in the phases of learning and understanding who you are, we congratulate you, because it is quite the journey. But you're not alone, and we're here to support that.
So well said. Yes. It's never a conscious choice. Nobody would ever consciously choose, I'm going to go have a drink instead of dealing with this. But it is a slippery slope, because we all make little choices like that at times. And so if you do it again, and then again, and then again, that's when it becomes that slippery slope.
Yeah, and we get addicted to it because it is making us feel so good.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I don't worry about nothing. I don't worry about the past. I don't worry about the future. I'm in this zone with this, and all I know is that it's taking care of something. And that's how it happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then another point that I wanted to mention was how trauma impacts the development of a young brain in healthy relation, or in a good enough family with good enough parents. We learn to connect person to person, and we need that for healthy development. However, when our family, our surroundings are potentially traumatizing, that impacts our brain development in many ways. But one of the ways is the parts of our brain that are tuned into fear and danger and things like that, hypervigilance, grow too much. And the parts of our brain that help us tune in and connect with other individuals are underdeveloped. So we literally grow and develop in such a way as to avoid human contact and deep connection, because that feels dangerous. And so then, you become an adult and try having adult relationships, and it all goes sideways.
Right. And so again, this is why the addictions might take over. But we know that there are things we can do to reconnect with ourselves And we're going to be sharing that a little later in the video.
So, Shannon, you had also mentioned a couple of really great potential reasons why sometimes we might feel so alone.
Yeah, I mean, we tend to feel stuck and alone and spin in our thoughts because we can't relate to people around us. We can't relate to things. So we lose hope. We're overwhelmed. You know, we're comparing our lives to other people. We don't feel good enough. And we fear judgment, right? And so when we ostracize ourselves thinking we don't belong, we don't look the same as other people, we don't act the same as other people, we don't have the same success, we don't have the same marriages, we don't have the same kids, it goes on and on and on and on. I don't have the same car, whatever it is. You know, there are people that are chasing other people's mirages. And I say that because some people could look like they have everything, but behind closed doors, they're miserable. They're lonely. They're in debt. They might have a Lamborghini, but they're in debt. Who knows? So it really comes back to how can you see yourself as a valuable individual? Maybe go do some volunteer work. You know, get grounded back into yourself. Feel less lonely because you're connecting with the community. You're helping other people. Maybe you'll even go, you know, help kids like a big brother, big sister, that kind of scenario, or feed the homeless. And then it's not about you anymore, right? It takes you out of your head spinning, and it's about the other person, and now how you're helping them, and how you could even consider yourself a little more fortunate that you're in a better position and that you're able to help them. Maybe they'll get to your position and beyond another time, right? So there's that reverberation of give and take and healing between the two of you, and they don't even realize that they're healing you as well. And that's the beauty of all of this.
Two things stood out to me with that example. That's such a powerful example. So we talk about this loneliness as this feeling stuck. And so how can we get that energy moving and flowing? And so volunteering hits on that in a couple of different ways. I mean, there's the, you know, mental energy that starts moving and flowing, but then depending on what the volunteer, or once you're actually doing the work, it's probably going to have some sort of physical element. You have to actually show up somewhere and actually do something. So now you have that physical energy that is moving and flowing too. But you also touched on gratitude, because when you're volunteering, when you're helping others out of the kindness of your heart and with no agenda, there's going to be a moment that it just kind of smacks you upside the heart, that you just feel so good. You just get the warm and fuzzies, right? And you feel so grateful for what you have, and that you are more fortunate, and that you have this opportunity to devote your time and energy in this way. And that gratitude is so healing.
It's very healing. And it's funny because it grows, it expands, right? So each time you get to know these people or person, there's a growing of energy, of love, of appreciation for one another. And, you know, sharing even with them, like you're helping me as much as I'm helping you, will also give them some kind of power to feel like they're impacting, and they're not just sitting in a lesser position. They're actually equal to you. That's a beautiful feeling.
It really is. And that's true connection. I just want to say, you know, coming from a neurological standpoint, there's something called neuroception. And I might have spoken about this in a past video, but our nervous system sends out these feelers, so to speak. Think of it as like bat sonar, and it pings off another person. And if that person feels us feeling them, they will send back, and they feel us feeling them, and I feel you feeling me, and you feel me. And think of the infinity symbol, right? And so in these volunteer situations, when we make these one-on-one connections, you know, I once volunteered in a soup kitchen, and I made sure to make eye contact and have just a little bit of chit chat with each person as they were coming through. It was like kind of cafeteria style.
Yeah.
And someone got onto me later for holding up the line, and I'm like, no, I am here for them. So I'm not holding up the line too much, but I am making a connection, a genuine connection with each person.
Exactly. And you know, we kind of want to ask you guys, you know, and ladies, what can you do today?
Mhm.
You know, what could you do today? Can you put something in your calendar to get yourself moving into a place of feeling less alone and maybe being a part of the community? That's something to think about.
And even that is movement. That is something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need that. And what about the heart chakras? Did you want to mention?
Yes, thank
There's this
you.
piece that Amy was talking about with me earlier. It's a beautiful thing, and I think it's so important that she shares it.
Thank you for that. So you
You're
can't
welcome.
love others until you love yourself. You cannot connect with others until you connect with yourself. And so um, paying attention to your heart chakra will help you do that, starting with yourself, and then, of course, expanding out into others through love and empathy and compassion and just deep connection. And so green is the color of the heart chakra. Think of green as in life. So how can you incorporate the color green in, I don't know, clothing, jewelry, decor? I mean, you don't have to go redecorate your house, but if you can just start noticing and trying to be more intentional with bringing in green, at least for a while as you're working on this. Get out in nature. The Japanese invented forest bathing, and it's freaking brilliant. And if you don't live near a legit forest, go to a public park. That's better than nothing.